Let's have some fun today.
I know. All right. It's Friday, Ross. Welcome to Geopolitics and Conflict
Live.
All right, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whatever part of the world you're in. Friday came so quick. My goodness.
And so much continues to happen all day, every day, worldwide.
I know. Well, I am so excited to be here because we're going to have time with our viewers.
And boy, is our topic hot today.
Oh, they are.
Wow. Well, we want to thank you for viewing. We want to thank you for subscribing. We're this close.
Yeah, this much.
to our 70 million
It's getting
goal.
there. It's getting there. But we truly, sincerely, we do thank you so much for your continued support. And even some of us have mentioned that they have talked to their friends about our channel. So it says a lot and it means a lot to us. So we want to thank you for that. And also want you guys to check out quickly, when you can, or when you have the opportunity, check out our membership at geopoliticsinconflict.com. And also don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Me at David Waralu, and Elizabeth is at Alchemy of E, and also on TikTok and Instagram. And by the way, on Twitter, we put a lot of conversations there. So you guys make sure check us out there. So,
and at your request, we have some very interesting products coming out. And we'll keep you informed as to how we develop those and when they're available.
Indeed. Well, I'll take this opportunity also to let you guys know we have some guests lined up for next week. Those are some interesting ones.
Oh, boy.
Speaking of guests, let me just say this for the record and for the last time, because I usually don't beat that horse over there. There are some of you who requested certain guests by name, like Professor Sachs, for example, like Chris Hodges. We reached out to those individuals, okay? Some of them said they are too busy. And I tend to sort of ask twice, and I will not ask third time. So that's just straightforward.
It helps if they ask
them. That would be nice since you know guys who they are, when you go to their channel, put a comment, say, hey guys, so-and-so from Geopolitics in Conflict, trying to reach you guys out or extended the invitation. Why don't you show up? We'll be happy to have them. But at the same time, there is a line when you say, okay, we'll ask 3 times. That's enough. And so we just want you to know we do reach out to this guest, including, by the way, Max Kaiser, who knows a lot about Bitcoin. And we hope to have him at some point.
Guys, we love Max Kaiser. So if you want Max Kaiser, tweet at him with our information. We love Max Kaiser.
Yeah, so just want to let you know, and this is the last time I'm going to be talking about it personally. So, all right, let's move on to headlines. See what's going on around the world. Then we'll jump into our topic.
Malaysian court convicts former Prime Minister Najib Razak on 7 counts of corruption.
Embezzlement, that's what it was. So finally, because for Indonesian people, they deserve better, And I take this opportunity to mention that Indonesian government needs to be now very strategic in its thinking, because the location, whether it wants to go with Australia or whether it wants to go with China, they need to think. They need to think long term here. So, but Razak indeed has been sentenced to 12 years in prison. So,
Afghanistan received an aid package finally.
Indeed, but guess where the aid came from?
Let me make a wild guess.
Why not?
China.
Well, you're absolutely correct, Ross. They did indeed, because winter. I spent time in Afghanistan in a winter. It's brutal. So, but of course we had the equipments and stay warm and all that stuff. Afghanis don't.
Well, I understand there was a special message on the aid packages.
It says for a shared future.
A shared future.
That says a lot.
I think that's more than an implied signal. I think they're telling where they're going.
Yeah, exactly. Well, just to let you know what this humanitarian aid included. It was food, a blanket, clothing, shoes, and some medical assistance. So China is moving forward with that.
The Russian Su-27 jet fighters intercepted the French
the fighter jets.
The French fighter jets.
Rafale, yeah, indeed. The SUV caused the French Rafale, the fighter jets, won over the Black Sea. closer to. So once again, what are we antagonizing the Russians for? It's just ridiculous.
And how come the French are involved in this?
Well,
They managed to stay out of it until
Yeah, but
now.
part of NATO. What do you
Oh,
expect?
yeah,
So,
okay.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Come on. Questions loom large about Taiwan president academic credentials.
Yeah, this one has to do with her PhD, whether it was legitimate or not. Here's the thing. I digged into whatever I needed to dig into and contacted whomever I needed to contact. I did confirm that she did indeed attended Cornell University. Okay, for the PhD part, which the record, based on what she's indicating, that she received the PhD from the London School of Economics back in 1984. I am still waiting for a confirmation for that. So as it stands now, her credentials from Cornell University checks in.
Okay.
So we're waiting to confirm the one about the PhD, and we will let you guys know.
The House of Representatives backs a $768 billion for the war machine, and as it approves the 2022 annual defense budget.
What a sad news. That's for us Americans. We see no different. Look at the defense contractors and lobbyists, how much they lobby Congress now to allocate this amount of money. I took a look at the bill. I did not read it in its entirety. It's a very, very, very lengthy, but I looked at two key provisions. One of them has to do with, and we have a link, by the way, we will post it for you, Section 1335 and Section 5905. With the 5905, I took interest on it for one reason and one reason only. And it has to do with the limitations. The bill says the limitations of U.S. aid to the Saudis when it comes down to weapons. But guess what? They are going ahead and selling $625 million of weapons to the Saudis. The second aspect of it, which was removed from the bill, has to do with bringing to justice the killers of Jamal Khashoggi. Shame on shame, and I'll say it, shame on politicians from both parties that they closed their eyes on bringing to justice those who barbarically killed Jamal Khashoggi. As a matter of fact, Qahtani, the assistant to the prince, that's the Saudi prince, he's just been arrested in Paris.
Oh,
yeah. The French are doing far better than Congress. French police are doing far better. So shame on our politicians. So,
well, what do you think? Should we hit our topic for the
okay,
day?
we have one last thing. It has to do
yeah.
with the water that's been poisoned in Hawaii.
Yes.
Yeah, the Navy. It's been reported now that the Navy has poisoned the drinkable water in Hawaii, and the media is not saying anything about it.
What a tragedy.
Shame.
And this has been forecast for a long time by the Hawaiian Water Authority.
Indeed.
And they took no action whatsoever.
Nah.
Now, if you're in Oahu, you got a problem.
Yeah.
I guess it's Honolulu that has the major issue here.
Exactly. Yeah. Shame on them. So, yeah, let's get into our topic. So, as we always do, guys, you know the drill by now. So, just put the question so we know it's a question, and this way we can go through as many as we can. And next week, of course, we're gonna do the Q&A again for you guys. I actually like those, Ross.
They are a lot of fun.
Interesting questions.
Interesting questions, interesting comments, and an intelligent viewership. Remarkable.
I really learn a lot from that. And I mean it. And I'm not saying it to be Mr. Nice. No, I guess you guys know that about me by now. I truly.
The rest of us do.
Well, I do mean it. I am learning. I'm a straight shooter. So
He
right.
is.
let's get on our topic.
Unidentified aerial phenomena.
Yeah, was it an extraterrestrial object or structure, shall we say? So,
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about it is that China came forward with it, but also we know that China's been operating on the dark side of the moon. I know they are, just to put this on the record out there. Yeah, any government, there are certain aspects that they are not gonna disclose. On part of the US, there are certain Neil Armstrong was asked about what did you see back then. He didn't want to answer that. Well, he was told not to answer that.
Right.
So it will be interesting now how China's going to proceed, because China's been the only country going to the far side of the moon.
You know, there's so many questions about this.
Yeah,
One is, how come it took so long to go back?
that's a good question.
When
yeah.
we don't have an answer. We can hallucinate answers or make
Yeah.
them up, but that's not what you and I are about.
Yeah,
Also, how come the dark side of the moon has been so unexplored until the Chinese
China.
decided to do it?
yeah, all of a sudden. And this is what we said last time, that now you're going to be seeing a race when it comes down to space, not only from its resources, which is another conversation altogether. But the question that we need to all be thinking about is the idea of, I do know, because I read, followed up on this, that China now is going to investigate even further as to understanding what was that on the edge of the dark side. So, which is the right thing to do? I do know China's space program is getting bigger. And as a matter of fact, with their establishment of their space station, they're conducting the research. They're gonna be doing a lot based on my readings about what China intends to do.
Well, they've got to do something with those 1 million graduates in science and engineering.
Exactly.
And we certainly know a lot of places they're going with those graduates.
Exactly. But there's also the other side dimension, which is the military dimension aspects to it. Like, I am sure, let's not sugarcoat it here. China's going to be thinking in terms of how to have the advantage military-wise from space. The US does it, Russians do it. So what makes China different?
Nothing.
Yeah,
they're actually required to do it.
You're absolutely correct. And this is where I see the military application to space. I mean, look at the example of what the Russians did when they shut down that satellite. Well, why the Pentagon gets concerned? They didn't concern about because a Russian did it. They got concerned because the ability now of Russia to destroy US satellites. And we do have certain type of satellites. Those are not civilian. Those are military assets, shall we say. You take the example of the one from the NRO, the National Recon Office.
Yeah.
It's called the Tele. Yeah, Tele, something like that. Very, very classified. That's all we can say at this point. And yeah, the Pentagon will be concerned. And this tied, for example, to why now there are more calls here in the US to talk about what has been classified as far as UFOs. Did we have visits here from UFOs? Well, the short answer is yes.
Well, when the government pronounces it,
what they did.
And by the way, here's the evidence, and here are the credible sources, and they interview them, and they say, "Yeah, we really saw that. Yeah, and this is the phenomenon we observed."
And exactly, that's one of the things we're going to touch on today. And we have a clip for you that shows you about. They don't call them, by the way, UFOs anymore. They use the term UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. Those are some, do you call them aircraft? They're not. Do you call them top? They are weirdly shaped. So we want to, once you hear this clip first, and we will talk about it.
Dude, this is a fucking drone, bro. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is an LNS, dude. Well, if there's another thing.
Look at that thing.
It's rotating.
Yeah. And the way it maneuvers. Look at the speed by which he was traveling. The camera had a hard time capturing it first. Right there. They captured it.
Roger. There's troubleshooting. Did you box moving target? No, I took an auto track. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, dude. Wow.
All right.
Try.
Yeah. So this is the idea of, why we wanted to share this one. Well, to ask the question, that one's, by the way, was from the cameras of the of the targeting cameras of the U.S. Navy fighter jets. That's where they were coming from. And this one was pertaining to the USS Nimitz that was conducting some what they call workups. That's before the deployments of military assets somewhere in the world. So they were conducting some military maneuvers in the coast of San Diego. That's when all this happened. The Pentagon declassified this last June. Well, this is not new, because those encounters happened in 2004. Of course, the whole idea of you can't disclose this stuff because it's classified,
right?
And now they lifted the classification on only some. This video you guys just saw, that's just one among others. I mean, if you get a chance to see the other videos, they are far compelling. And why is that important? Because you got an object, and I don't know what you even call it, that can drop from 80,000 feet to about 5 feet from the water in less than 5 seconds.
This seems to defy the laws of physics as we know them.
Yeah.
And if there's life forms on it, such as anywhere close to mammals like human beings, one of the things we know is at the way these things move, it breaks cell membranes. That means it dissolves the passengers if there are anything like us.
Exactly. Well, there are no humans in it, or no beings, shall we say?
It seems to be apparent.
Well, yeah.
These are all robots or
yeah,
something.
well, that gives you the idea. The question is: there an intelligence form guiding those? Because when you get, as a matter of fact, when pilot Dave Fravor, he was the pilot for the F-18 that went down to get closer to it. It was Dave Fravor and I think Alex Dietrichs. Well, Dave Fravor, by the way, is a Top Gun graduate. He's an instructor, meaning top of the top. Those guys have the capability, those kind of pilots, to distinguish between an Su-22, a MiG-25, an F-16 or F-18 at about 20 miles away.
Whoa!
Because they know what to look for.
Right.
So his eye testimony to what he saw defies the logic, and that becomes the question: is there an intelligence form that is managing all this? Because here's the thing, just to share this with you guys. Now that is declassified. That thing, that whatever you want to call it, was able to hop up about 80,000 feet. As much as fast he went down, as fast as he went up.
With no apparent propulsion system.
None, no wings on it, nothing, And here is where the scary part was that this thing that Commander Dave Fravor came like sort of face to face with, because the more he was getting closer, the more that thing was playing chess game with him. Well, they took off in no time. And guess where they went? No.
Really?
No. He went 60 miles away. Where did he go? They went to the rendezvous point. Pilots usually have, encrypted communication, and pilots will have a rendezvous point somewhere. Well, the rendezvous point was about 60 miles. When the pilots met in the rendezvous point, that thing was waiting for them over there. That tells you if he could predict your thinking, that's how highly intelligence is. And just to tie this to what China discovered on the far side of the moon makes you question, we can't be the only smart, intelligent beings in this universe. When you consider, just in our galaxy, you're looking at about 100 billion stars.
And there seem to be countless galaxies in the universe.
100 billion galaxies. So you do the math. It just defies our logic. So for us to be thinking in terms of, whoa, we're the smartest, we are the most powerful, it's nonsense. Here is this little thing was able to just predict where you're going to be 60 miles away. And by the way, it got there in 5 seconds. So you do the math. I know.
Pardon me. That is just hilarious.
I know. And I found it very interesting. This is why, and I hope the Pentagon will declassify the rest. But those are, so the question becomes now, the question is, was this a U.S. military asset? Was it a foreign asset? Or was it something from out of this earth?
You know, as you and I have had private conversations, one of my cousins was a former flight director for
Mhm.
NASA,
Mhm.
named Phil Schaffer.
Mhm.
He and I were really close friends, and he was close friends with my family. Matter of fact, we got a behind-the-scenes tour of the whole NASA facility in Houston, or outside of Houston.
Mhm.
And one of the things he said that was not classified was he, as flight director, there were a number of things that he couldn't know about. I'm going, what? I mean, you're the top guy. And he said, it doesn't matter. He said, I was at a facility visiting for another reason, and out of a hangar came an anti-gravity machine.
Wow.
He asked about it. He said, you can't know about that. And he said, it had no means of propulsion that he could see. It looked like a flying saucer, looked like a hover machine
Mhm.
with no propellers, no wings. He said, and then they rolled it back out, and it was flying. Then they rolled it back, they put it back in the hangar and closed the gates. He said, and I never knew another thing about it, and I knew not to ask.
Exactly. Well, we can share this with you, and I'm going to share it. It's not, it's not classified. It's sensitive, but it's not classified, shall we say? You know, before I say that, the question becomes now is the U.S. in possession of some exotic material? And I would say the answer is yes. You know, how did we know that? Well, the individual who was in charge, Louis Elizondo, who was in charge of the program, has left the Pentagon. Now he's a public figure. Of course, there are regulations in this country that if you work for government and had access to classified whatever, you have to maintain that because it's the law.
And you also agreed to it when you took the position.
Yeah, you signed for 75 years.
Oh, that ought to take care of it.
There's a reason for it. So the question becomes, are we in possession of some exotics? And yes, we do. As a matter of fact, there are some, we have some capability, shall we say. I'm going to word it in a way that doesn't break the protocol per se, but some machines, shall we say, that can take us to Afghanistan in about 20 minutes. Or about 2040, give or take.
By the way, that's fast.
It is fast indeed. So just the idea of, but this leads me to highlight or address something with you that we don't hear much about. And it has to do with the type of civilizations that exist in this universe. We can't be the only one. As I always say, it will be arrogant of us to be thinking we are the only smart entities or beings in this universe.
With how many billions of stars?
100 billion.
And that's in our galaxy. And how many galaxies?
There are 100 billion galaxies based on the calculations, you know. But here's the thing about the civilizations, you know. So far, most of the scientists, you know, the reason I happen to know a little bit about this because I read on it.
Yeah.
Astrophysics, one of my, you know, favorite subjects that I dig because I wanted to understand, you know, we can't be the only entity here. We can. There is no way. When you look up, what do you see? All the stars, and we can't be the only one. So the conversation about civilizations had to do with none other than Nikolai Kardashev. Nikolai Kardashev was an astrophysicist a nuclear physicist from Russia. You know, back in the 60s, he came up with the equation that astrophysicists today still use his equation. It's no different than what Einstein did when he came up with his equation. Well, Kardashev argument was that there are about 3 civilizations that exist. Civilization type 1, type 2, and type 3. What type 1 has to do, and you know what they all have in common, Arise? Energy.
Oh, they'd have to.
That's very interesting. So type 1 civilization will be the one where you can harness all the energy on Earth, you know, and you can control, for example, weather patterns here on Earth. That's type 1 civilization. And by the way, we're not even a type 1.
Right.
We are 0.67.
Well, we're somewhere.
Well, somewhere, because if you go back 100 years and you see how far we've come.
Oh, yeah.
With all the energy we can harness now.
0.1.
Yeah. But that will give us another 100 or 150 or 200 years before we reach type 1. So that's type 1. Type 2 is when you can harness the energy from the sun within the whole star. Which means what? You now have, that's like the, what you call it? The
Dyson sphere?
Dyson sphere, thank you. You can put the Dyson sphere around the sun
And
and
harness
you can
all the
harness
energy.
all the energy. That's type 2 civilization. Then there is type 3. Well, type 3 is galactic. That means you can manage the galaxy. And as we said, how many stars in a galaxy? 100 billion, based on the calculations they did. So my point in all this, once again, I'm sure some of you guys looked at the movie Avatar, which, by the way, that's in Alpha Centauri. There is the nearest star system to us. For us to get there will take us about 75,000 years. We will never get there, but
Yeah.
that's how. But it's just yes, it was a movie, whatever. But it gives you an idea, because what was one thing about how those elements or beings live in Avatar? It's all through energy, and this is begs the question of what's out there. It makes us look like this minute thing. We are like.
Right.
Yeah. And this is what I don't get about, countries fighting, because our human nature is violence. Violence is always.
And competitive.
Yeah. Why can't we live in peace and try to learn what's out there? Maybe other civilizations we could learn from. My only concern, Ross, and I'll share it with you guys, and this is my personal opinion, is, are we asking for something more than we can handle? Because there are those who's asking, well, if there are aliens out there, why don't they land on the White House lawn and ask for a meeting with the president?
That's a very good question.
But my answer to them is this: can we go and land in red zone and ask a meeting with Putin? Or can we go to Tiananmen Square and land our fighter jet there? It's common sense. Second, are we prepared?
Let me make a comment of
Sure.
psychological interpretation here. There are major psychological studies about who works for the government in top positions, who heads major corporations, and a preponderance of those people are actually sociopaths, which means they have no regard for other human beings. And it's well-established psychological research.
Wow.
And going, is that what it really takes to get ahead in government? Is that what it really takes to get ahead in major corporations? Going, well, we don't know if that's what it takes, but we know that's what we got.
Well, I witnessed that in Washington, D.C. when I worked there, Ross. I'll say straightforward. This is why I have no respect for those politicians.
Yeah.
Because they'll sacrifice the welfare of the American people to get ahead for them political positions, and they die at the end. Just 3 days ago, what's his name? The Republican guy, Bob Dole. Just died.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah. 98 and he's gone.
And that's what I don't get it. When you start to think about the whole universe, we are this tiny, and yet we are fighting and antagonizing and doing this and doing that. For what? For what?
Well, Tulsi Gabbard called it pretty well when she said, are these people insane?
She's right.
Are they just a bunch of sociopaths who really don't care about anybody but themselves?
She's
and her
right.
conclusion was, yes, that's who they are.
Exactly.
Risking nuclear war over nothing.
Yeah, and this is why, again, that war, that the request for everybody lives in peace is the idea of, why not? Why not cooperate? Why not coexist? Why not live and let live?
May I raise some questions
Sure.
here for us and for our
For
audience?
all of us.
How come this information is coming forward now?
As to the class, because it's been pushed by not only Freedom of Information, the FOIA, I think, whatever, Freedom of Information Act, which it's the law, but it's because the government cannot hide or discredit that anymore.
Also, is it possible that there's going to be some grand revelation?
There is a possibility, or you could think about, which is a great question, Ross, or you can think about it in terms of us humans, because if you go back 150 years, how did we start? Did we know everything about Earth? Did we know, for example, about fungi?
No.
We didn't. Or because all you used to think is the kingdom of the animal kingdom and plants.
There were major battles about do germs exist?
Exactly. Then all of a sudden we move forward, discover energy, discover oil. Oil paved the way for locomotive. It paved the way for industrial stuff. This is within just our planet. Can you imagine on a universal level? And that is where that question is.
You know, I heard this justification for keeping this quiet.
Yeah.
I had to laugh out loud. I still am laughing. They said, well, you know, if we divulge everything we know about unidentified flying objects or whatever you want to call them, we're afraid that people will be so panicked that they'll go insane and they'll demand war with Russia and China and everything. Going, this is irrational.
It's irrational, yeah.
Especially with how well prepared Star Trek and all these other TV and films have prepared us for. Life can exist other places and most likely does.
That's why, yeah.
Would people really be shocked at this point? I don't think so.
They won't. Where they will be shocked, it's the idea of other beings and not the form that you and I are accustomed to. So we'll put it that way. There are different beings. There are different structure. Even their bones are far harder and stronger than ours. So.
And could it be they're more energy driven?
Well, they are. Because that's the whole idea. How do they communicate? It's through energy, you know, telepathically. That's the ability for them. But just to go back to your point quickly before we open the floor here for our viewers, is the idea, yes, every government will have to keep certain secrets. I understand that argument because not everybody is capable of handling the outcome. I'll give you guys an example. A couple of years ago, without going too much into detail, it used to be an asteroid that was right on Earth axis. That asteroid was supposed to hit in Hawaii. If it would have hit Hawaii, Hawaii would be gone. Australia would be wiped out. Japan will be gone. But, you know, what the government needs to do? Do they need to go until people be prepared? They'll panic. Because we humans are not all of us, we are not trained to handle, you know, issues like that. So, to our good luck, where we are positioned in the solar system, Jupiter works for us like a vacuum.
Oh, nice.
When that asteroid came closer to Jupiter, because Jupiter mass is 10 times that of the Earth, it sucked that in. Then the government came a year later and disclosed, oh, it was an asteroid on Earth trajectory, but it got diverted. That is the reason why they kept that information in.
I'm glad they did.
I'm glad. So just to go back quickly before wrap this up here, as to the China's structure they found, I am sure China is going to conduct investigations for it, which the right thing to do, because China now is the only entity or only country rather that is managing the dark side of the moon. You know, there are some secrets about the moon. We all know this. There are a lot, but for now, that's where it stands. So we're going to keep an eye open on this one because I am very interested in following up to see what's going on, and we will let you know.
Well, based on what they've done so far, it looks like once they find out, they're going to tell us.
I think so. China will come forward with that, which will be good.
Is it question time?
It is indeed. Oh, let's thank. Can you see it, Ross?
No,
Plato. Plato, we thank you very much, Plato.
You both tell truth to power. No sugarcoat report, not from us or not.
No.
I believe truth always prevail. I will join your Patreon membership soon.
Not Patreon, Geopolitics and Conflict.
Not Patreon. Don't join the Patreon. Join the geopoliticsinconflict.com.
Membership
there. So, as a matter of fact, Elizabeth, there was somebody who asked, he wanted to donate for us and he didn't know where to go.
Yes, so you can give them a preview of our locals page.
Okay, we will do that. We'll post the stuff and give you an idea about the local page because we're going to be moving into that direction. We'll let you know as we move forward. So don't go Patreon, go to geopoliticsinconflict.com. And thank you so much for that. We truly appreciate it. And yes, we don't sugarcoat it.
We don't.
Because what's the point? If we can't tell you the truth, then, you know, I won't be here. I won't be sitting here.
Well, it defeats the purpose of what we're up to. You know, we really go out of our way to do the correct research to come up with quality information that you can actually believe because we've done our homework. For you to make up your own mind, not us tell you what to think.
Exactly. All right.
Jerry Cortori?
Yeah, you got it right, Ross.
Do you think Julian Assange has a chance to be free?
I'm glad you brought this up. Just to highlight today that the UK appellate court has turned down the lower court decision and agreed to extradite Mr. Assange to the US. No, he won't be free. But shame on how democracy is behaving, because now he's being charged with spying. He did not spy. I'll say it straightforward. He did disclose information that highlighted the war crimes committed. That's not spying. So let's make that clear. Second, is it fair? Where is the fairness into the system? You can, and Britain, why would I trust Britain? Or the US now for that matter, because shame on us. I'll speak for myself and my country here. I won't speak for Britain. I don't give a damn about Britain.
Yeah.
But shame on us for here that we can say we stand for democracy or right or whatever, and yet you are doing injustice to people. That's just not right. So it's a sad day. That's what I can say.
And the feedback we get from the world is, and everyone knows it.
Yeah.
And prestige for the United States?
Yeah. That's an indication, Ross, for the beginning of the end. So.
Technochrono?
Oh, thank you very much for your super sticker. We truly, truly appreciate it.
Alien time traveling before we destroy ourselves. I've considered that many times.
Yeah.
Of course, I can't know that.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that be an interesting thing?
It will. That is the idea. The question has always been, are there encounters with us here is for our sake, to save us from destroying ourselves, or what? Because we couldn't understand. It's because their technology, it defies our ability. We are limited in our brain capacity.
Well, there's some things we can suspect
Mhm.
but can't prove, such as how come these whatever they are
Mhm.
go to nuclear sites or war zones
And
how-
shut it down.
and they have the capacity to shut it down.
All right.
Also, they go over some of the polluted places and scan those, but we don't know what they're doing there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
my hope is they're doing it for our good.
Well, just to piggyback on your idea, look no further than what took place in Lake Baikal. Lake Baikal is one of the largest freshwater, and what was under that ice was a very, very interesting. So even the Russians, Department of Defense, declassified the paper for it.
Mm.
All right. Oh, Beryakov.
We're glad to see you
Good
again.
to see you, Beryakov.
With latest Nicaragua and China news, clearly U.S. sphere of influence in South America is fading fast. Is Monroe Doctrine backfire? Well, if China helped build a canal, how this affected geopolitically?
Big time. Big time. Yes, the Monroe Doctrine, you still hear some circles in Washington talking about it. Is that it's because now countries in Latin America, they've seen the history. When you take the example of the shipment China did to Afghanistan yesterday.
Yeah.
That just right there, your example, real example right there. We've been there 20 years. And as a matter of fact, the provision for the bill for the defense include the provision to give money to Afghanistan. It just, Latin American countries are waking up, and especially as we said, remember, Ross, when we talked about Cuba?
Oh, I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
And China's making major interventions technologically there.
They're going to eventually move that direction.
And we see all those countries paying very close attention to what's going on, the countries in Latin America.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to see some changes coming up. I'll give it about 5 years or so. You're going to see some major, because it's a natural progression. Our system is going down. It's just the way it is. Due to our own failed policies. That's usually what I see. All right, next one.
SAF. Somebody already wrote about this in the chat a couple days ago, but Nicaragua just recognized China and broke the ties with Taiwan. Is the U.S. losing its influence in their own backyard?
Well, the short answer is yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll say it straightforward. It is. Yeah, we're still having the sanctions on Venezuela and Cuba and all that, but no, especially now where you get, for example, the example of Barbados now being independent.
And from Great Britain.
So you're going to start to see a domino effect slowly. It's going to happen. So unless the U.S. will resolve into the same strategy it did back in the 70s, last century, which I don't see that working anyway.
And by the way, who pays the price for the embargo or the sanctions against Venezuela? The American taxpayer.
Taxpayers. That's true.
Strip Bear.
Oh, thank
Super
you.
sticker.
Thank
you
you
so
very
much.
much. That's so kind of our viewers. That it's really actually it's the gesture that counts. It's the idea.
Ariel?
Ariel, good to see you.
I doubt it will be on time. Do you think the U.S.-led boycott of the Winter Games will backfire? By the way, I already asked about space on Tuesday.
Yes, you did. No, it will not backfire because you got now Australia and UK, I think, joining the US.
Well, reputation-wise, it's going to
It's going
to backfire on the United States.
Oh yeah.
And they're going to, and the people around the world are going to say they're petty.
And they are, as I say, why keep them separate, politics and sport? Why it's
What brings people together? Oh, let's boycott that.
Yeah,
We need the conflict and controversy.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, world peace. Thank you so much. World peace. Remember, it just put a sticker during Q&A last Wednesday.
Oh, thank you.
World
Thank you.
peace. Thank you so much, World Peace. We appreciate it.
The U.S. wants to play fast poker with Russia and China. Russia plays chess and China plays Go for the long term. What a good observation. How should the U.S. handle it when the U.S. at the same time has a lot of internal problems they have to solve?
Wow, that's an interesting one. Well,
That's why this is so good to do.
it is indeed, Ross. No, if I may answer this one quickly here. First of all, foreign policy, as I always say, starts at home.
Yeah.
Let's fix our own problem first, okay? Which will take us time to fix. This is not an overnight process. Then sit down with those countries that we have issues with and figure out where the differences are and find a way to come to an agreement of sort that benefit both countries, because they have to look for their own interest. We have to look for our interest. How about if we found a mutual agreement that can satisfy both parties? But this idea of the ratcheting up the tensions, on the Black Sea, on the Taiwan Strait, for what?
Well, so more people in the United States could be homeless.
Well, it's going up that direction, Ross.
Elizabeth and I were driving yesterday, and we passed a whole new area of homeless tents.
Oh, richest country on earth.
Well, supposedly.
Yeah. Look no further than the defense bill. 768. Shame.
Obscene.
Shame on them. Yeah, what the US needs to do, they need, first of all, we need to fix our own problems first. Then we'll talk to the Russians and the Chinese.
Well, Strip Bear again.
Oh, thank you.
It's rare men make me think so much. Thank you.
Well,
and thank you for your comment.
Yeah. Well, we're learning from you as well.
EL? Thoughts of Australian backstabbing the EU again by buying Black Hawk helicopters from the US instead of the EU Taipei helicopters.
It is.
Taipan helicopters.
Yeah,
I said it wrong.
Yeah, it is indeed. Yeah, they go in some directions. Australia. Interesting enough, we're going to have a guest next week. We'll address those issues that, we're going to be addressing those issues. But yeah, they are stabbing the Europeans in the back, and makes you wonder, is Australia the love dog for the US? They're just the US telling them to do that.
Well, our guest next week certainly ought to give us some insights into exactly what's going on because of their placement in the government.
Exactly, and they understand all that. So it's unfortunate that Australia is taking this direction. I never thought I will ever see that.
I couldn't imagine it, but all we're doing is observing it now.
But the government is lying. Morrison is lying to his teeth.
Matter of fact, Elizabeth and I are going to do a show on
Morrison.
on Morrison,
Great.
breaking linguistically down what he's up to.
Oh, you guys gonna be in for a treat. Yeah. All right.
Thunder Dragon.
Good to see you. I like that screen name, man.
I do too.
I like it.
If China really discovers something extraterrestrial in the far side of the moon, does it have geopolitical impact for China? China is the one who really plays Smart Trek in real life.
Star Trek.
Star Trek.
It says
Star Trek.
Oh, it
Trek.
meant Star Trek. Okay, who really plays Star Trek in real life? Okay, got it.
Indeed. And that I know for a fact. There will be geopolitical implications to it. The reason being is because now the question that's going to become is whoever gets first there set the rules.
Yeah.
There are no international law guidelines that manages space because we never thought it's going to be to this level. Well, the US used to be the only one at the time. Russians were the Soviet Union back then and Russia, not anymore. You get now China that is pushing forward. Look at the speed by which they're going to put that space station together.
That really tells the whole story.
Yeah. So it's going to become now, whoever gets there, carve out the space. That's it. What are you going to do? You're going to come and tell the Chinese, no, you need to move? Who are you? Who are you to tell the Chinese to do that? Or the Russians for that matter? It's too late because look again where the countries are investing versus where we are investing.
Yeah.
It's common sense. But the geopolitical ramifications, not only on Earth, but it's going to be in space.
Athene Wu, do you think the real reason behind the current Ukraine-Russia tension is actually to stop the Nord Stream 2 getting into operation so that the EU continue to buy more expensive gas from the US?
Also, thank you, Athene. You are on almost every one of our live streams, and I see you. Thank you for being one of our biggest fans.
Thank you. To a degree, U.S. energy firms, yes, they do have a push behind the scenes to buy gas from the U.S., but it just doesn't make any sense to go and sanction Russia by freezing Germany in the middle of winter. That just doesn't make any sense, But you have to think about the big picture, as we always say. The big picture is because you wanted to push, the EU, you, NATO, you, the West, you, the US, wanted to push forces closer to Russia's border, as close as it can be. And that's something Russia's not going to allow. I bet you whatever on it. Russia will go to a war to prevent that from happening. As a matter of fact, it will be suicide for NATO to even consider that, because Russia cannot afford not to have access to the water through the Black Sea,
right? Because
that's their access to the world, waterways, rather. So that's what I see. So the reason is not only energy, but also strategic, given the changes that's taking place.
Harry Smith, how about Taiwan, Kosovo, and the EU being invited to Biden's lame democracy summit? Well, Julian Assange gets thrown back to the wolves for retrial, along with Ukraine, but not Russia.
That's a good point. And you know what was disturbing about the speech that POTUS gave yesterday or the day before about this democracy stuff? In one of his clauses, he mentioned that when now we in a democracy, we're going to have to protect whistleblowers. And you going around and doing the opposite. If you cannot call that hypocrisy, I don't know what term would you use for it. Shame on us.
And the whole world knows who Julian Assange is. Yeah. And they got to be watching this. And how many commentators are even commenting on it?
Yeah. And the thing to charge him with, he didn't spy. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. But that's an indication for when a system is coming to its demise or its end, it starts to behave erratically in a sense of policies and so forth. And that's
one of our viewers wrote in and said, you take a look at the Roman Empire, every 200 to 300 years, change. By the way, it's similar in China. And here we are at the end of this phase of the American Empire.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you talk about some irrational behavior. Boy, we've seen a lot of that.
All right.
Stephen Yu. I think that's the way the Vietnamese pronounce that, but I don't know if Stephen is Vietnamese or not. Is this China discovery on the dark side of the moon a coincidental event or a timely geopolitical statement by China to say, we've got bigger challenges than this trade war? Oh, good question.
It is a good question. And I don't claim to have an answer for that. So I don't know whether it was a calculated move. If it is a calculated move, what will be China's motives for it when he has far other issues to deal with here? Second, if it wasn't, then that will be a discovery for them to really, really explore, because they are the only country that is operating on the dark side of the moon.
Yeah.
And the dark side of the moon appears to have some very interesting aspects that, for us, the U.S. we never took interest. We never even went back after whatever.
Which raises a lot of questions that don't have answers to.
Exactly. So,
Dakian's son.
good to see you.
What do you think about the joint plan of building a research station on the moon between China and Russia? I think it's coming. We saw the plans for it. Matter of fact, we did a show on it.
Exactly.
And you talk about a sophisticated research facility.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what it's going to do to now, because remember, Russia has the know-how. China has the pockets. So when you combine the two, you can only imagine. I would not be surprised that their cooperation in space is going to go beyond the moon. The moon will be like, I always look at it like a base.
Yeah.
What they're going to be looking at is out there, because there is a lot out there. And together, they're going to achieve a lot, far bigger things. I hope, what their objective is to serve humanity as well, something that can benefit us all. I understand the military dimensions to space. I am very aware of it. I'll put that aside and think of it from humanitarian aspects as to how it's going to benefit us, because there's more into universe or space, whatever you want to call it, than just flying over there.
R2C2. Biden told Ukraine that they wouldn't be joining NATO. Does this mean that the West has accepted defeat in Ukraine?
No, it's not. That's just political convenience. That's just a consumption of ink, no more, no less. The reason why I'm saying this is to temper the concern the West has over Russia's buildup. Because remember, what the media is not disclosing is that as we speak, Russia is moving forward with its troops onto the border. So statements coming from the president sort of can tamp down the concerns of Ukrainian. I mean, let's face it, even though you hear, and I read some articles printed in the West from UK and Germany, France, and the US, all saying that the Ukrainians are going to stand up to the Russians. Come on. Let's be realistic here and stop making these nonsense statements, because those are nonsense statements. Ukraine will stand no chance against the Russians.
450,000 troops on the border?
Yeah. So the statement is nothing but a consumption of ink. I won't put too much weight on it. It's a political convenience. That's usually what it is. It's just because Ukrainians understand. And as a matter of fact, Ukraine now is going to have to be thinking in terms of they're going to be losing a lot of revenues when it comes down to Russia's transit of gas through their country.
Oh, it's a lot of money.
A lot of money. So they better be thinking about how that's going to impact their economy.
How big is, I can't remember. I just read it yesterday. It's
about $4 billion.
Oh,
based on what I read. So
that should hurt them.
Oh, they should. It should.
Tamaputra, what is your opinion on China's hypersonic engine crate based on Chinese-born engineer Ming Han Tong design that was neglected by NASA and the United States government? I don't have an opinion.
I do not know.
I don't know anything about that.
I do not know about that one. Sorry. So
we can only claim ignorance. Oh, we can only claim we tell the truth. We don't know anything about it.
I can't say what I do not know. So.
The Juice 911. Thank you.
I like that screen name. Thank you. I
can't wait to see who the surprise guest is for next week. Happy Friday, team. You're going to like it. Whoever you are, it's going to be a really punchy one.
It will be worth your time.
Yes, absolutely. World peace.
Oh, yeah. World peace is back. So
Lithau, I don't know who Lithau is. Lithau say China ban all company to do business in or to China if they do component from Lithau. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with this one. Yeah, I am not familiar with this at all. Yeah, I do know that certain aspects for certain companies that the U.S. puts some restrictions. If you use more than 10 components in whatever you're doing, as far as sanctions, you will be sanctioned.
Oh, great.
If you use 11 components, which means one more, U.S. government will sanction you. You know that I do know, but I don't know about this one here. So.
Oh, Technochrono. What did you think about China responding to the diplomatic protests of the Winter Olympics by saying that no one cares? You weren't even invited.
Hey. Yeah, that
I think it's a totally appropriate response.
that's all you need to do. Why waste the energy? That's it, straightforward. That's laughable.
It's
interesting.
actually a delight that to be so straightforward about it.
Exactly.
Who cares?
Who cares?
Okay, last one.
Okay. Oh,
All right,
question.
last question. Jonathan.
Tajiro, do you think the Southeast Asia countries should make a NATO type alliance with a common interest and threat for once protecting mid-power country from AUKUS and China?
That is, if I may answer that one,
Please.
no, it's not going to move into that direction, because if they do that, they're going to pave the way for more militarized zone. And with more militarized zone, that's when you get the introduction to nuclear stuff. You know, they already signed the treaty, no nuclear in this. And that's why they are staying neutral into this issue of tensions between the U.S. and China, and how the U.S. is ratcheting up the Taiwan issue. ASEAN country, remember when we had a conversation with Einar Tengen?
Yes.
No. And he explained it very, very well, because it makes perfect sense for ASEAN to be thinking in terms of economic opportunities, not military tensions. And that's why I don't see them go in that direction.
And wonderfully, the leaders of those countries had the wisdom to say, no nukes, it's about the money.
Exactly. And makes you now wonder why, even with this democracy stuff, why the US didn't invite Singapore.
Yeah.
That makes you, no, I don't see them doing that one. And they don't want to go that route anyway, because even NATO itself is irrelevant. It's useless. So why would they want to create something? AUKUS and Quad, they're not going to make it. They're not going to survive. It's just the three countries. Even India now is kind of taking a step. Yeah.
With Putin and Modi?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not going to be... Well, good, guys. It was truly great being with you here on Friday. As I always say, we all enjoy Friday's conversation.
Very much so.
We're going to be seeing you on Wednesday for a live Q&A once again. And please remember to follow us on Twitter. Me at David Waralu, and Elizabeth is at Alchemy of E. Also remember to follow us on TikTok and Twitter. TikTok and Instagram. And next week, we're going to have our guests, and we're going to do the Q&A with you guys on Wednesday. And anything else?
Yeah, we have the next week, the members only presentation is the new military global order.
Oh,
on
that is...
geopolitics and conflict.
Okay.
Oh, we've been really doing a deep dive in that one. Really interesting.
Yeah, that's for our
members only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys check out our membership, for geopoliticsinconflict.com. So as we move forward with this, because we're gonna be, elaborating even more on the key issues. This is why we wanted to do this Q&A for you guys on Wednesday, because I know it's not enough time to answer this, because we have to go prepare for what we need to. Just to let you guys know, it takes a lot of research and a lot of work behind the scenes.
I know that doesn't surprise you, because we're so careful about factual information.
Yeah. But also we wanted to thank you for your continued support, because it means a lot to us. We want you to know this. We don't take your support for granted. So please make sure you spread the word about our channel and invite your friends, family members, or whomever, because we wanted to
we want to reach 70 million.
I hope so.
So if you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe.
Yeah.
Also go to our website and check the membership.
Indeed. So, well, as always, guys, stay informed. Till next time. Bye-bye.